Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fisayo. I'm going to be answering a few questions that I got through an Instagram poll I shared a few days ago relating to the EB1A green card process. So let's get right into it. How long did the entire process take? It took 8 days to get my I-140 approved, and my adjustment of status from F1 visa to permanent resident took 90 days. How many recommenders did you have, and must the recommenders be US based? For the number of recommenders that I had, I don't want to say that because I'm not trying to give a standard, but anywhere between 5 or 10 is good. Solid people who are like thought leaders in your field across the many facets of your life are good. Must they be US based? No, no. I had recommenders from Nigeria and the United States, so no, they don't have to be US based. This is an interesting question. Did you have to leave the US? No, I didn't have to leave the US. I shared a video like last month explaining, why I left. I wasn't compelled to in any way. It was just very personal. Um, yeah, I wasn't compelled to leave the US. I didn't have to leave the US. I had a valid stay in the US and I just traveled out. Can I apply as a writer or someone managing a foundation? Yes, absolutely, you can. Can I still join your class even though I'm not qualified? I'm working on building my profile. No, no. I only want people who would commit to writing and submitting in this 7 week period. As time goes on, I would make more preparations for people who are building their profiles. But for this cohort, it's simply for people who are committed to writing and submitting their petition, before October 25th. Did you have academic publications when you submitted? No, no. I am not in academia, so I didn't have all of these Google Scholar, academia, ResearchGate articles. No, I did not. I did need to demonstrate that as being extraordinary in my field. But depending on your field, you definitely need to have a couple of citations and publications to your name. This one says, what are the requirements? The requirements are not so simple. Um, First, you need to demonstrate that you have extraordinary ability in your field, you have sustained national or international acclaim over the course of your career, you intend to continue working in the United States, and your entry into the US will substantially benefit the economy of the United States. And then you need to demonstrate that you meet at least three of the criteria that is set out by the USCIS. I'll put a link in the description where you can see all of the details. Can you also make a video for the EB2NIW? Um, no. I think there are a lot of resources online for that. So you can find information about the EB2NIW online. I'm on an F1 visa. Is it possible to get my green card as fast as yours? Well, it depends. Yes, you can absolutely apply on an F1 visa. I was on F1 visa when I applied. Um, it just depends on the timeline, really. It depends on the timeline. For instance, if you do premium processing, you're able to get a decision for the first stage in about 15 business days. If you don't, of course, it will take longer. And then for the adjustment of status, I've heard people get results in 60 days, in 90 days, in 120 days. So it just depends on a couple of factors that we cannot really have control over. How many publications does one need to have to apply for EB1A? It depends on your field. It depends on your field, really. Um, Remember that you're trying to demonstrate that you are part of a small percentage of people that risen to the very top of your field. And so, what you should do is look at your field and look at the people who are seemingly at the top of that field. Do they have publications? Is having publication important in that field? The people that have publications, like how many publications do they have? Can you compare with what they have? Those are the questions that you should ask yourself. There's no specific number, right? Like, oh, have 10 publications or have five or have 100. No, there's no specific number. But again, quality over quantity. I think that's very important. Regardless of what you're putting out and explaining to the USCIS officer, they should know that whatever it is that you have written is substantial. The criteria says what it as, your original scholarly or academic business related contributions of major significance to your field. So you should put more attention on how significant that writing or that publication is to your field than the actual number. So the next question, what part of the I-140 should you fill when applying for the EB1? Now, this is a good question because I've heard people get their petitions returned to them because they didn't fill some parts of the I-140 correctly. Okay, I'm going to be putting on the screen, the parts that you should fill, and be sure to check out the USCIS website for the form. There was a recent one that was released in August. So just before you submit, make sure you are updated with the most recent form because they usually, make changes to these forms and put them on their website from time to time. So make sure that you are updated on the correct form. There's been an addition to the payment, where you have to pay for an asylum fee if you have less than 25 employees. A total of 25 or less employees, you pay $300 extra in addition to, the regular $715 you pay for the I-140. And if you have more, you pay $600. So making sure that you tick those boxes, put in the right criteria, the right answers when you're filling your I-140 is very important. In the community I'm starting up, I created a resource bank that shows templates for all of the forms, so that people don't have to start reinventing the wheel or whatever. People already know what to check for and they can fill their forms correctly. As a reminder, the cohort starts on the 9th of September and it runs for 7 weeks. So definitely, if you want to be a part of it, be sure to click the link in the description. It has all the details on how to sign up and be a part of the petition writing support group. So the next question is, must I be in the United States to apply? No, no. The answer is no. You can be anywhere in the world. It's specifically designed for many people who are looking to enter into the United States and they have extraordinary ability, right? So you can be anywhere in the world to apply. I've explained that the process has two major stages, which is the first one that is the major one I consider the hardest part, that is submitting your petition, and filling out the I-140, the form I-140. And then the second stage, if you're in the United States, you do an adjustment of status. That's if you already have a status as a US person. And if you're not a US person in any way, you don't have like an F1 or J1 or any other visa status in the US, you are outside of the US, then you go through consular processing. Typically, the wait time for countries differ. So you might just have to check with like the embassy at your country to know how long the process will take. Next question, how long does it cost to process this? It doesn't cost an arm and a leg, or maybe it does. I'm kidding. I'll put a link in the description. They update these fees, from time to time. When I applied in February, it cost $700 to process, and then I paid an additional 2,500 to get an expedited response. You can get that in 15 business days, like I mentioned. I got mine in 8, but currently it's 715 and 2805 at the time I'm sharing this video. I don't know if it will be longer or I don't know if it will be more, when you get to watch this video. But that's for the first stage. The second stage also has its costs. So I'll be putting a link in the description where you can access all the costs and stay updated. So this next question is very tricky. It says, can one still stay in the US after applying for it, even if your visa expires? I 100% would not recommend that you stay in the US and try to be out of status. A lot of people do it. I guess they find their ways around it. I think when you know someone who has done it successfully, you'd have the courage to be able to do it. But That's not my mindset or way of life. I think that if you know your visa is expiring in a year, you should start making plans. Absolutely start making plans. Right now, I don't know how much time you have, but you may consider options like attending a day one CPT school or trying to get into another master's program or something that just keeps you in status while you apply, because it might pose a challenge when you're doing the adjustment of status bit. Because what is your status? Do you want to go back, to your home country and do the consular processing, or do you want to stay here? If you're staying here, of course the adjudicating officer would have questions, for you. So I 100% do not recommend that you stay in the US if your visa expires. But please, before it expires, try to start being proactive and seeing what you can do to stay in status. Okay, someone says, what platform do you recommend for my article to be published for a wider circulation? Good question. It depends on your field. Honestly, it depends on your field. I don't want to give you a generic answer. I think you should look at your field and look for where the leaders in your field typically publish articles. Where do they put their publications? Is it on mainstream media? Is it in the news? Is it on websites? Is it in journals? What type of journals are they? I think you should start doing your research on your own field, identifying what the top platforms of your field are, and then trying to position yourself there. All right, that's all the questions that I can answer today. If you have any more questions for me, please feel free to book time on my calendar. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had very interesting conversations with people, just looking through people's profiles, hearing their stories, being having an insider look on their achievements, and just being the light, showing people that they can get this thing and get it done for themselves has actually been a very high point for me, over the last 1 week. Don't forget to share this video with your friends or anyone that you think might be a fit for this opportunity. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.